let's get that recording started and try to burn through the rest of this today. Hopefully I can just do it. Yeah, I also thought that, but that's the one with the daughters of Wesker. Like that's the live action one, I think. And I think there's also the CG one that I saw a tweet about it recently. Anyway, this is the defendant lobby, all right, but there's no defendant. Netflix bad. Yeah, it's not so good. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Edgeworth. Knowing you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 7777777 ID number is, that is. Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. No, yeah, we know who it is. We know who Sevens is. We know who Crowbar is. We've addressed Crowbar. That comic where, the extended universe Homestuck comic, where it's like narrated by Crowbar, that one's really good. I really liked that one. I didn't like all those. I forgot what they called them. They had these like series of all like extended universe comics, like back when Homestuck was still going, like real Homestuck. And some of them were like one-page gags, but then there was one that was Crowbar narrating the first time he died, on a mission with the Felt. Nah, it's fine. It was just a really good spin-off thing, and it made me like Crowbar more than I already did, because Crowbar is already pretty cool. For those of you who don't know, Crowbar is a mobster who makes the plans, and pretty much everyone else in the Felt organization is stupid dumb. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. That number does belong to whom you suspect, and no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True. Not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes. Wright and Chief Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty. But she didn't do it. I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth. Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. Oh, it is one of the CGI movies. Cool. That's pretty funny. See you in court. See you in court, right? This is it. This is it. I'm never gonna find out what Chief Gant has on her. It's now. Don't stand so close to me. Court is now in session with the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Ugh, burp. My tummy's been acting up. Not like significantly, but just enough to be like,
Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make.
Chief Gant.
Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, Udgy, been back to the pool yet?
No, I've been drowning in enough as it is in my work.
That's a good one. Don't think I can top that. You're back from the pool.
It's really funny. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours?
Lana, that is to say, the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court.
She wants to do what?
Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble.
What's this all about, defendant? I would just like to make one simple request, and then I'll be finished.
Well then, what's your request?
Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. No, Lana! You can't! Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana! Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. Prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please.
Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. A request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise.
This can't be happening.
It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant.
Objection!
One moment, Your Honor.
Mr. Edgeworth.
The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. What? We're gonna talk about reasonable doubt now? What's reasonable doubt? A reasonable doubt is prove to me that you weren't, in the room holding the knife. Prove that you weren't. That's reasonable doubt. It has to happen so many times you don't even know. The prosecution is blah 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 blah. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature.
Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut,
I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant.
What?
Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes.
Some kind of deal, Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy.
I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness.
Fair? To whom?
As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Nice. Way to go, Edgeworth.
Very well. The court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant?
Worthy. You'll live to regret this. Mark my words.
Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Or the bull by the horns, is what people normally say. Where else would you take a horse by? Like its mane? Who does that? Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation.
My name is Emma Skye. My occupation, I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator.
2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct?
Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though.
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to ask you to recall those events one more time.
Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. It's an incident that was resolved 2 years ago. Really all that relevant?
Yes, it most certainly is.
Well, okay then.
You sure gave in fast. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. Bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. Yeah. Finally the important part of this case.
I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up the knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest.
It's a good thing you weren't harmed.
I passed out. I don't remember much.
That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder?
That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence.
Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination.
Let's go, let's go. Two years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct?
Yes, she was second in command under the then Deputy Chief of Police, Gant. My sister, she was the best detective ever.
Yes, I remember. Deputy Chief Gant and Miss Skye used to be quite the pair.
I believe they shared the same office?
That's right. I'd always sit at my sister's desk and dream about playing that organ. I wanted to play it that day, too.
The police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day.
Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work.
A man.
Yes, Joe Dark. He was a serial killer.
Joe Dark was brought in for questioning on the day of that ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest.
When he saw his chance, he fled the room. Right?
Upon fleeing the room, Dark proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Sky and Gant's office.
There was a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened up the door to have a look. That's when I saw him.
What was the prosecutor doing there? That day, there were two people present during Doc's questioning. Deputy Chief Damon Gant and Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Almost forgot about Gant. Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony.
I assume that would also be why he was the first to run after Doc.
When Dark grabbed me, I thought I was as good as dead.
And that's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in.
I don't clearly remember what happened then, but
Can you tell us about that?
Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. Just then, the lights went out.
Lights.
It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on, and lightning struck nearby.
So, the electricity went out.
Wait a minute. It was pitch dark in that room. You shouldn't have been able to see anything, right?
Right, but just then lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind.
I see.
I told the detective about what I saw then.
The detective.
Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case.
Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago. At that time, that man.
Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial.
And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw.
Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture.
A picture? Yes, I think she mentioned that before.
Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough?
This picture the witness drew, I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture.
Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
You drew a picture of the scene you witnessed, right? Thanks. Hopefully I can just get it done, because we've got all the pieces, we've heard all the stuff. Unless something stupid happens. And from what I've heard, it gets better as the games go on. And honestly, it's only been a couple of times in and it's been mostly in the investigation, because it's like, well, where do I go? Let me just go everywhere and click everything, right? That's when it's really, a shame. In here, I can just save and click a bunch of stuff and it's all good.
Yes, I want to do everything I could to help the investigation. I can still see it now, whenever I close my eyes.
Yeah. Super saving. Lots of fun. That's strange. I took over the case after Prosecutor Marshall died, yet I never received any picture. Perhaps the witness is mistaken.
But I did draw it, I swear. I'm not just imagining it.
This picture that Emma drew, that reminds me. I guess I should check the evidence again. Well, anyway, let's continue. This scene that imprinted an image in your mind. Can you please describe it to us?
The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall
In the chest? What? No. That must have been a real shock.
Even now when I close my eyes, I can still see it just as clearly.
Tell us, what were you doing at that moment? I believe you testified that Joe Dark was holding you hostage.
When lightning struck and the lights went out, and Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark, I was thrown aside and the two began wrestling each other. I'm pretty sure I was watching them.
Emma doesn't have any reason to lie, but Lana sure does. I need to get Emma to tell me as much about this as she can. Okay, well, chest is obviously a problem. Oh shoot, one too many. God dang it. Why can't I just cycle back to the end of the Marshall arresting me, drew a picture, raised up his knife in the chest. Alright, let's see. Stabbed in the back. Your Honor. What? Yeah, it does. What are you talking about? What? Excuse me? And stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. This specifically says he was stabbed in the back. Single stab wound. What? Okay, now I'm confused. Let's look at this evidence list. What's it say? What's on it? Yeah! I knew it. A picture is drawn on the back of the evidence list in magic marker. I've got a very bad feeling about this. Fucking found it. I guess we need to do this first. Mr. Edgeworth. This little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you would insist on denying its existence? Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. But all I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for this case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold.
This is the evidence list for the SL9 incident.
Please, turn it over, Your Honor.
Turn it to right hand, turn it. Bah! What's this?
Yes, what is that?
Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew.
Indeed. Two men appear to be wrestling here.
What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Yeah, I don't know why they're not switching it over. Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list.
Huh? These lists, they're different from each other.
What?
It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here. They were torn apart from each other.
So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you. What? What?
Order! But Miss Sky, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list?
Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor.
Do you get it? Wait a minute. This list was torn in half. Then that means... Your Honor.
Are you all right, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head.
If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list.
Yes, that's quite conceivable. Mr. Edgeworth.
It's possible. Let me see. He's so mad. I love how mad he is.
Is something wrong?
You even have to ask? Sorry, Honor. Your Honor, there is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's that thing. God damn it! This little piece of shit.
That's that thing. That thing was dancing in the evidence room.
Clearly, this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives. I guess he was out of scrap paper. Evidence restored and updated in the court record.
Very well. Witness, will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago?
He hates it.
Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor.
What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture.
This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant.
To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image into your mind. Thanks to that,
though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw.
Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
I'm all sniffly. Don't like it. I'm so mad. I'm so mad at... Whatever. We'll get to stabbed in the chest versus stabbed in the back. We'll get to that, I'm sure. Did you draw this picture right after the incident?
I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first, I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything.
During that time, the investigation team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gaunt and Lana Skye. 2 or 3 days later. The memory should still have been fresh in her mind.
Excuse me, witness. But can you please tell us why this picture is painted in all black?
The flash of lightning was so bright all I could see were the shadows.
So at the time, you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue.
No, I couldn't see him clearly. The lightning was so bright, I was knocked to the floor.
You were knocked to the floor.
Dark had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around, and that's when the lightning flashed.
Poor Emma. I'm just glad she wasn't hurt. What happened after the lightning flashed?
After that, I must have fainted. Oh, whoa. Oh, whoa.
You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place?
No, I'm sorry.
The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. You really need to torture this girl any further. What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here.
Anyway, this picture...
Thanks a lot, Edgeworth. Yeah, they're both like, oh, I still have to get you, even though we're trying to kind of work together, I still have to win. That's very like them, I feel. Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw?
Of course, this is the exact scene.
It wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives. Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright? No, of course not. I'd better watch out or he might find some way to cut my salary.
I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives, so I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me.
Yeah, I mean, that could just happen. Everyone, like, there's been tons of studies, and I hate to be studies show, you know, that kind of guy. But you can totally manipulate a witness into saying whatever the heck you think based on the questions that you ask, and totally do it without meaning to. There was this show where they had people, like, they were giving them a tour or something of like a Wild West town, and one of them was a plant, and they all parked their cars there, right? And then they had a crazy person who was an actor run through, hit the plant's car, and then drive back out like a hit and run. And then they had real cops come in who were also in on it, and they asked the witnesses different questions. And so sometimes they said, how fast, like they did stuff like that. Like, how fast was the guy speeding through here when you saw the impact? And and then they were like, oh yeah, it must have been like 50 miles an hour. He was going like 20. I mean, the guy who was in on the, like, they had to have somebody's car get hit. So they had the guy drive in with the tour group, and he was the guy that got his car hit, and he's like, oh man, my car, it's that guy that he drove away. No, not a real plant. Yeah, a planted actor, a fly in the ointment, as it were. But yeah, and when he asked people like, how fast did he speed through here, how fast was he going when he slammed into the other car? Words like slam, crash, speed, bolted, those kinds of words made people say, oh, he must have been going 50, like 40, 50 miles an hour when it's like a parking lot. Like, obviously he could barely even manage to go that fast. And then when he asked other people like, oh, how fast was he going when he bumped into the car? How fast was, what speed was the car going when the collision happened? Like, neutral words like collision or bump totally made people go, like, say he went slower or got closer to the real, like, I think 15 or 20 miles an hour he was going. So yeah, it's super easy to, even if you don't mean to, manipulate what a witness actually thinks they saw, because memory is so much perception. And lots of memory is recompiled after the actual event. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting.
Mr. Wright, is there something that's bothering you about this picture?
Huh? Oh, well. That's strange. She claims this is exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind. And yet, there's clearly a contradiction here. Okay. Let's see. So, we've got, I mean, let's see. No, this isn't important. It's all this stuff now. So let's see. Is this? I'm not sure. The knife tip was in the wound. But the knife, like as we can clearly see, it's a square. It's not a point. So the knife was already broken. Which we of course know because the real murder weapon was the halberd from the shield. And it's really Gant stabbing him for some unknown reason. But I'm not sure how to get to that. The halberd was removed. The broken halberd. Maybe the knife? Broken tip? I'm gonna try the knife. I think it's as good of a... No. That didn't go so well. Let's see. I just wanted to see if I could still see the blue badger. I'm not sure what else it could be. Knife? Yeah, okay. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction.
What? But I still remember it, just like it was yesterday.
Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture?
Yeah, I knew it was that, but I had to figure out how. The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see its tip is broken.
Even I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright.
But Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too.
If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body.
It was the conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer.
I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma. And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem? It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken.
Wow, what is the meaning of this?
Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there.
That's right. What does this mean?
The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time, but she was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already about a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice, Wright. All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility.
No.
I have to go update the autopsy report.
Order! Order! Are you saying the investigation really was conducted?
Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story, there is a lie.
I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife.
If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife.
What are the chances of there being 2 broken knives?
Another broken knife, besides Joe Dark's. Could there have been one? There is another one. The witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw. It can't just be explained away by simple observational error.
Mr. Wright.
In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife.
I assume then that you have information about this other broken knife. If so, please feel free to enlighten us.
The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. If anything's broken here, it's you. Huh?
I'm sure this must be all very amusing to you, Mr. Wright. But may I remind you...
Shut up. It's right there. That's what it is, though. It's just not there. What are you talking about? It's just... Wait, what is this? King of Prosecutors, the name of the past recipients registered in the complaint. And Ron Karma's name is here too. Huh. Well, at least I saw that. Yeah. It's not this. Maybe it's the screwdriver? I guess it's gotta be the screwdriver, huh? Because it's a broken knife. Let's see. Got the unstable jar, which doesn't have anything in it, obviously. Must be blood. Oh, here we go. The answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past. Right here inside this picture. This is a picture of the award ceremony. Ah, ha, ha!
What is it, Mr. Edgeworth?
It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding. There we go. That's a broken knife! As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award. I knew it had to be in there somewhere. I was just like, it's there, it's the missing knife. Derp derp. Neil Marshall was awarded the King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. With that, That can't be. Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors Award knife was the murder weapon, then the murder and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, this man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Oh!
But the prosecutor was the one who actually died.
That's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions.
Wait, I remember now. I remember everything.
Witness.
Mr. Edgeworth,
What is it?
could you show me your evidence list again, please?
His list. The one with that picture scribbled on the back.
I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it.
What? You drew that?
That's right. The list wasn't torn in half the time I drew this picture.
God damn it. That shitty blue badger.
All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me.
Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony.
It's great. What are you talking? Oh, I don't know. It's great. I love Blue Badger. He's so nice. I love him. I love his stupid fucking song.
Would you please tell us what you recalled, Miss Sky?
Yes, Your Honor.
First the knife mix-up, and now the Blue Badger. This should be interesting. The Super Blue Badger.
When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked, rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the Blue Badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow.
This is certainly most unusual.
Try impossible. The chief of the detectives hadn't even designed him until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago.
Yes, well, the defense may now be good.
Stop, please. Don't pursue this any further.
Lana.
What is the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair.
But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that?
Chief Prosecutor Sky. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back.
Silence! Defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, whack his nuts!
It seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. All right. When you say that man, I assume you refer to Joe Dark.
Yes, at least I think it was him.
You think?
All I could really see were the shadows.
The power outage that immediately preceded the incident is also documented in the prosecutor's office reports.
So then you,
Panicked rushed towards them. Why would you do something so dangerous?
What else could I have done? He was about to stab Mr. Marshall.
He seems convinced that Dark was the one holding the knife. But as we've just theorized, Mr. Marshall was the one holding the knife.
Well, I didn't know that at the time. And when that Joe Dark guy knocked me down, all I could think was, I've got to help that other person.
What do you mean, you think?
It all happened so fast. and I was in shock. I don't remember everything clearly. What I did, it's all kind of a blur.
Miss Sky was almost killed before she was witness to a murder about to take place. With so much happening in a matter of seconds, little disorientation is only natural.
I saw the man about to stab the other person, who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with the knife.
What you did was very brave, young girl. So, what happened next?
Are you sure about this?
Of course, see? I even drew a picture of him there.
But it was the chief of detectives who thought up this hideous beast. Yeah, I don't wanna have to go all the way back since I've just got 2 more bloopity bloops. And that was just this year. The blue badger didn't exist 2 years ago. This is all quite verifiable.
I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I saw him at the police department. I had this nagging feeling that I'd seen him before somewhere. Now I finally remember.
Oh, brother. Just when you thought that this thing had caused enough commotion.
Alas, where in the room did you see him dancing?
He was in the room, but I saw his shadow.
His shadow? I mean, you didn't actually see his face with its winning smile and all.
That's right, but I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns.
This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken. That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did. Oh? And I suppose you have an explanation. If so, then by all means, tell us what this shadow really was. Was it? Blah, blah, blah. Saving before they try and shove me into something. Yes, I can tell they're trying to shove me into something. What was it Emma saw when that lightning flashed? Who is this blue badger, really? The blue badger hadn't even been dreamt up when Emma drew this picture. Yet she's certain she saw its shadow. I'll make you eat those words! Faker! You fake hedgehog! Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense's belief that on that fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the blue badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room.
Mr. Wright!
In this room? Very well, Mr. Wright. What is that? What is it that the witness saw in that instant? Please show us this mysterious blue badger look-alike.
Alright, well, let's see. Could it have been the armor? Or, let's see, 3 creepy horns on its side, so it couldn't be that hat. I don't think it's in this picture. I don't think that's it. Could have been. It could have been the. Like if we turned it. No. That doesn't really work. Or maybe. No. It's ancient. What the fuck are they thinking? Maybe like. That kind of looks the same. I mean, there's one missing. And they're not in the same spots. I want to say it's this, but I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna look at the other evidence. Evidence room, floor plans. No, not the screwdriver. Let's take a look at our little guy here. Maybe it is. Maybe it is the... just at a funny angle? I'm thinking it's this. I'm saying it's this. Yeah, BTs, they're touching poor Badger's face. The mysterious blue badger was in fact this. Yeah, I knew it.
That's, what exactly is that?
I believe it's some sort of jar.
But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger.
Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint?
Viewpoint?
I gotta show them the correct angle to look at this from. I've gotta get it like... like that? Like this? Oh god, don't do the song to me. This isn't right. I've gotta make it look more like the badger. Allow me to remind the defense that its case hinges on the witness's drawing. Mr. Wright can't match the shape the witness drew. We cannot accept his claim. I've gotta find just the right angle. Maybe I should rotate it vertically a bit more, or horizontally? God damn it. Come on, Mr. Wright, you can do it. Fuck! This sucks. And I've got to do it with HNBM. What a nightmare. It's like that, though. Wait. Like this? But not really. Just make the, like this, like that. Maybe that'll, yeah, I can kind of see that. Yes, it is. That's super right. Objection. Fuck you, Edgeworth. So, let's see. It's like this. This is exactly the angle. Like this? I think this is right. Yes, it's super right. Are you fucking kidding me? That is literally exactly the right angle. Don't eat stupid blue badger coming back to haunt me. Like, look at that. That looks exactly the same. Maybe it needs to be more like that. No, look, the angle of the things is exactly, it's exactly the same. Maybe a little more. Gah! I'm very upset. I'm very upset. Okay, yeah, because this is nonsense. This is like out of this world. Absolutely insane. So, okay, like that. Because this looks exactly right. Middle down, like that. No doubt. Oh, you mean that this way, like that? Okay. Oh my god. Well, is this a miracle or what? Stupid. So terrible. No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the blue badger. No, it can't be. Yeah, present it to the statement or something, but no.
Order. The defense has proven its claim.
It's good they didn't, like, punch me for those, though. Like, I really appreciate that.
The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually...
Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. Yeah, that's the only consolation, because I had to listen to that frickin' music. What's your point? What do you mean? So that badger thing was actually just a jar. It doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. Indeed. Very well then. Please tell us. What's different now that we know the witness saw the jar? I mean, the murderer, but... It's okay. It's okay, you did your best. I basically, like, I literally, you were helpful because I literally needed the exact, because I was there, like I was there on my own, but I needed the exact, like, proportions. So stupid. I mean, it's the murderer. The location? I don't know. Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jar?
Where?
The location of the jar is shown in a picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gant. But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and it is these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room, in Chief Gant's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office? Have fun. None of the choices matter. Yeah, it didn't look like it because it was like all of these things change. Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason.
You know what that reason was, Mr. Wright.
I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away a man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying?
That would have had to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit?
Ah!
The suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous-looking sword.
Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, it would have had to have been Neil Marshall, wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy.
No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking.
Yes. There's another possibility of what actually transpired in that room.
Another possibility.
Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless. I don't know if I can go through with this.
Mr. Wright, what's the matter?
If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Skye knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Dun dun. Oh no!
You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No! Oh no!
And she passed out.
I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. It was the witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented!
What are you saying?
I'm sorry, Miss Skye, but given the circumstances...
Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her?
Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? Yeah, accidental murder is still murder. Yeah, that totally makes sense. I can't believe they fucking said that in this game.
I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall?
Evidence?
I'm willing to bet you don't.
Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence.
We don't have evidence, and we'll have to rely on testimony.
I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead.
You certainly can't get dead people to testify. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Touché, Miss Skye. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility. I mean, there's still another possibility?
What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life. in one manner or another.
That's impossible.
Well, Mr. Wright, if this is the only possibility left to you, a message from the deceased. Such a message exists.
Gotta think back to the court record. Real murderer's name that the victim may have left behind. It's gotta be in the evidence. I mean, it's not... This message from the deceased is already in our possession.
Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer?
Do not be mistaken, Miss Skye. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek: the truth. No matter how painful it may be.
Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the dead.
Well, I mean, it's got our prints on it. Doesn't have anything on the back of it, though. That's the only thing I could think of. Oop. Let's see. Date and time of death, February 11 p.m. and 7:30. Cause of death, single stab wound, piercing the heart and lung. Nothing in there. Joe Dark, Sin's death, Neil Marshall, Lana Sky, Emma Sky, investigator, Dictator. It's none of these. Is it this? Is it somehow this blood stain? Like it's supposed to be an M? Or maybe a J? That's not a J. I'm thinking it's maybe this. Yeah, I'm thinking it's this. I mean, it could be. This is the message left by the deceased.
This is that blue badger from before, yes?
Oh, is he just going to speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here, on the surface of this jar.
What do you mean?
If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar. Oh yeah, but it's kanji probably, right?
It looks like...
Oh no, someone wiped it. I see. It looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice, for some reason the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away.
Yes, there's a line here drawn in blood.
So what you're saying is these dots were once lines. Okay, good, it is actually translated. You can never tell with this game. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away. The blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will become apparent. No!
Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us?
Your Honor, I believe these blood stains will reveal to us the answer. We can see Emma now that it shows us it like this. His murderer's name. Yeah.
But I feel like I'm teaching handwriting to old farm.
What? I don't understand. Oh, I thought that E would like. So wait, how do I? Oh, I've got to use enter. Even though it doesn't say enter, I thought E was it because it was. Oh, well, it's not gonna let me do that. Whatever. Kind of a dick of this guy to do this, but I mean, okay. I'll save as soon as I can, because I'm running low on health. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Dun dun. Emma. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind.
Of all people, you may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life
Was Emma Skye. Dun dun.
Seaworthy? Can't say I didn't warn you.
Chief Gant.
You understand the implications of what you've done.
What? What are you talking about?
2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death.
Oh boy. Oh, is it gonna get crazy? Here we go.
He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not?
Ugh.
Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction.
Yeah. But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable.
I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know we aren't defenders of justice?
What?
We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter, even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge.
That doesn't make any sense. How would it be his responsibility when you were the one forging evidence? Like you and Lana.
Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied.
Oh, they're loud. They're loud rattling. They might have sent an innocent man to his death. That's crazy. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. This is so stupid. This is the stupidest shit I've ever heard. Yeah, it's your fault because we gave you forged evidence and we made a bad case for you, and then you used that evidence trusting us to... What? Yeah. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. Woo, we're on a wild ride, folks. Ah, boy. Thank goodness. Well, we made it. This is gonna be a shorter stream today, so I'm going to take a break real fast. because I've got D&D tonight, so I can't do my normal 2-hour stream. So we're gonna pause it here.